Good evening. Welcome to Recipe, how to get your audience to thank you. My name is Jason Teteak, and I'm going to show you how to get your audience to actually come up to you and thank you for the message that you've just shared with them. Now, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm about to share with you 8 secrets over the next hour that will help get your audience to trust you, to listen to you, to learn from you, to ask the right questions, to behave for you and feel less drained doing it. I want you to pay particular attention to not only what these 8 secrets are, but the order in which they appear. Because it turns out they are actually prerequisites of one another. Now, before I get started telling you more, I want to let you know that you can contact me at any time during this webinar. You have the ability to chat in, and if you chat in, I'll get right back to you. You also have the ability to raise your hand. And what I want you to do right now, just to test this out, is I want you all to raise your hand so that I know you know where that is, and you can contact me whenever you need to. Raise your hand now. All right, looks like we've got about half of the people raise their hand. The rest of you, go ahead and try it. If you can't raise your hand, just send me a chat. Let me know if you can or can't. Good, it's getting there. Now, as the rest of you are raising your hand or chatting, I also want to let you know that right now I have everyone on mute so that the experience for everyone else is right where it needs to be. But when you raise your hand, I'll take you off mute. You can go ahead and talk all you want, and somebody can hear what you have to say. And at the very end, I'm going to turn everybody off mute, and we're going to take 5 minutes for Q&A for whatever you want to know. So take a moment right now and start to think about the questions that you have. Now let's get started. For each of these 8 secrets that I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you the specifics of exactly how to do it along with the order of those specifics. Now, true to form, for each specific, I'll give you one immediately, and then I'm going to tell you exactly where you can find additional things. I'm going to give you useful examples of how to do it, and you should know that I have discovered many, many more examples, literally hundreds, that you can use tomorrow with your audience to get them to thank you. I don't have time to tell you all of them today, but I'm going to tell you exactly where you can find them. And at the end, I'll show you exactly where that is. These hundreds of secrets have taken me 7 years to figure out, and I'm going to share a few of them with you one by one over the next hour. You don't want to miss any of this. So let's get started. Here's the first one. Getting them to crave what you have to say. I call this the hook. And if you're taking notes right now, here's something I want you to write down. The number one reason adults listen to you is because they know why they should listen to you. It's not what they get, but it's why they get it. Let me give you an example. Here's a hook that I thought about giving you for this particular section. You tell me which one's better. I'm going to teach you how to deliver a hook. I'm going to teach you how to get your audience to crave your presentations. Now, why is the second one better? Look at the first one again. I'm going to teach you how to deliver a hook. What's that telling you, the what or the why? It's telling you the what. Nobody wants to know the what unless they first know the why. The problem is, and this is what I call theoretical fluff, if I were to stop there, it doesn't really tell you how to do it. Here's how you do it. You need to figure out how your presentation, how your teaching topic, how your training topic, how whatever it is that you want to say to them is going to make them either more successful, more happy, or more free in their life. I call this frequent fulfillment. I call it fulfillment because it lasts forever. And I call it frequent because you have to tell them this over and over in your message. If you don't, they won't crave what you have to say. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your next presentation, your next class, your next training or teaching. And I want you to ask yourself, why will your class, or why will a topic in your class make it so that they're either more successful, more happy, or more free in their life? If you can figure that out, then they'll listen to you more. Now, once you've told them why they should listen, then you need to tell them what you're going to give them. Here's the 3 things you need to know for this. Adults listen when it has immediate value for them. Ask yourself right now, are you still listening to me? And if the answer is yes, it's because you think that what I'm going to give you right now has immediate value for you tomorrow. Did you remember when I said that in the hook? I said you're going to get this tomorrow. Well, that's the case for your audience, for your trainees, for your students. Here's how you make it immediately valuable to them. It's got to be tangible. They need to be able to use it right away, and they need to be able to do it regularly in their jobs. If they can't do that, they don't want to listen to it. Back in the 70s when people went to college, what they learned, they used about 78% of that in the actual workforce for the next 10, 20 years. These days, it's at 13%. This is called moment of need training, moment of need presenting. People want stuff they can use immediately. And if they can't, they'll go somewhere else. Now, the third thing that you need to do to get them to crave what you have to say is get them to trust you. Here's another thing to write down. The number one need of your audience is to feel safe with you. Ask yourself right now, do you feel safe yet? Chances are, not yet. In 2 or 3 topics, I bet you will. But right now, not quite. You're still tentative. You're not sure. But here's how you make someone feel safe. When you introduce yourself and you give your credentials, I don't want you to do it the way most people do it. Most people say, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of people that do things for 20 years that aren't any good at it. What you need to do is tell them how your credentials will help their role, how you'll help them in their life. For example, let's say that I'm a speaker and I want to introduce myself. I could say, hi, I'm Jason Teteak and I'm a speaker. Or I could say, hi, I'm Jason Teteak and I help others be successful with presenting, training, and teaching. Why is the second one better? Because I've told them what they get from me based on my credentials. Your turn. I want you to do this right now. I want you to write down, hi, I'm, and then put your name in there. And then I want you to tell them how your role, whatever it is you're going to teach next or present next, speak on next, is going to help them. I'm XYZ and I help XYZ do XYZ. What is it? You're going to find that when you listen to me in webinars and programs and presentations, I'm not just going to give you theory that you can write down. I'm going to make you do it. Because when I make you do it, you're going to end up having something you can use tomorrow. It's going to be immediately valuable to you. That's what makes it tangible. Let's look at the second one. Look at this woman. Get them to say we got a good one. Remember I said these are prerequisites of each other? You got to get them to crave what you have to say first. Then you got to get them to say this. I call this credibility. And if you look at her face, you can look at her eyes. She's being sincere with this. Whoever took this picture got it when she was sincere because people can't lie through their eyes. You can tell by her eyes, especially if you cover up her mouth and her nose. She thinks that she's got a good one. Something's happened that's good. This is how you've got to get your audience to feel. The problem is most people know this, but they don't know how to do it. I'm going to show you 4 ways right now that you can get them to say, we got a good one. And if you don't do this, by the way, they won't keep listening to you. Later on, I'm going to show you how to engage people, how to teach them effectively, how to get your message across, how to answer questions, the other things that presenters, teachers, trainers, speakers do. But before we do that, they have to think that you're the best at what you're about to give them. Here's how to do it. First of all, you got to overcome your nervousness. Here's the theory on this. It's okay to be nervous. You just can't show it. And here's how you do this. I want you to take your next presentation, your next topic that you're going to teach, whatever it is, and the very first topic you're going to give to your audience, I want you to practice that 3 times in real time. I'll give you an example. Right now I'm doing a webinar with you. I actually practiced this webinar 3 times in real time. That means I spent 3 hours on this. Some of you might say, Jason, I don't have time to practice for 3 hours. Then just practice the first topic for three times. So for me, it would have been to get them to crave what you have to say. Because when do most people get the most nervous? In the first 10 minutes. All right. Next one. Show confidence. You got to overcome nervousness and you have to show confidence. I can't tell you how many presenters, how many teachers, how many trainers, professors, speakers, CEOs, salespeople, implementers, project managers, technical service people I've worked with that are fall into one of 2 camps. Either they have a lot of confidence and they're overconfident, or they don't have enough confidence and they don't show it. Here's the answer for both camps. It doesn't matter how much confidence you have naturally. What matters is that you show it. And this is where both camps can run into trouble. You should know I've observed hundreds and over 1,000 people in the last couple of years in front of their audiences. I give them feedback. Sometimes I'll observe them for 2 hours and give them 25 pages of feedback that took me 5 or 6 hours to write for them to help them be more successful in their classrooms, in front of their audiences, in front of their associates, whatever it is. And I can tell you that when I observe them, I'm about to tell you the #1 types of language that tips people off that you don't have confidence, that doesn't show confidence. Here they are. You ready for these? Write these down. Try, perhaps, maybe, kind of, sort of, I guess, and I think. I'll go a little slower now. Try, perhaps, maybe, kinda, sorta, I guess, and I think. If you're listening to me right now and you think these words aren't important to you, it took me 7 years to figure out these 7 words. And the way I did it is I looked at and I analyzed all these observations, and I discovered that there were some people who used the word kind of or sort of or I guess or try over and over again. And their audience left. They checked out, either mentally or physically. Let me give you another one. This is the third way to show credibility or say we got a good one. You got to speak well. Now, when I watched all these people do this, here's another one that I heard. Here's the top 5 words that I heard over and over that people are using to not speak well that you need to remove from your vocabulary. Here they are. Like, so, all right, and okay. You know, I observed a trainer a couple of months back, and I showed the trainer the feedback. It was 25 pages long. It was about 13 to 14 pages of strengths that the trainer did, and then about 10 pages of goals that they wanted to work on, their top 3 goals. And one of the goals they wanted to work on was to speak well and look more credible in front of their audience, in front of their students. And I noticed when I read their feedback, and I put this in their feedback, there were 28 statements that started with the word so. Why do people start with the word so? Because it's a crutch. It allows them to not have to look foolish in front of their audience with that uncomfortable silence that all of the presenters are scared of. Here's the deal. It's not uncomfortable for your audience. It's only uncomfortable for you. And here's the other theory. It's not about you. It's about your audience. So here's how you fix this. Instead of saying all right or so or any of these other words I just gave you, get rid of them and replace them with a pause. Here's an example. It's an actual example I heard from a presenter speaking into a couple hundred people audience. All right, so we just removed those signs. Here's how you fix it. We just removed those signs. Pause. I replaced with a period and a pause, and I simply got rid of all right and so. How do you do this? You need to record yourself. Take out your iPhone. Take out your smartphone. Press record for just 2 minutes. I guarantee you if you're using these words, you'll hear one of them during this time. And then practice not using these. Last way to get them to say we got a good one. Show your expertise. And how you do this, you got to show that you know your stuff. Here's the deal again. It's so easy in a webinar to listen to what I just said and go, oh, Jason, I already know you got to be expert. No, no, no. You don't know this yet because you don't know how to show them you're an expertise. It doesn't matter if you're an expert. What matters is whether they think you are. And what I mean is I'm not saying it doesn't matter that you're an expert in the sense that you shouldn't be an expert when you speak. You should. But you can't just be an expert. You got to show them that you are. Just like you can't just be confident, you got to show them that you are. So here's how you do it. There's 2 phrases that work particularly well for this. The first one is, research has shown that. Now, it gets to be true. You actually have to have researched something. But when someone hears you say this, research has shown that, they start to realize that only an expert could know this. Only an expert would have researched this. Here's another one that I love. If you haven't done research, but you've got a lot of experience, you can say, my experience has shown me that. Do you remember when I did this with you? I said that I've watched hundreds and thousands of people in front of audiences, and I've given them feedback. And by my experience, I've learned that the top 5 words to try, perhaps, maybe, kind of, sort of. Remember I said that? When I did that, I guarantee you that most of the people that are listening to this webinar right now said, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's an expert. And the reason you thought that is because I have experience that I'm sharing with you. But you can't just have it. You got to tell them. So research has shown that, and my experience has shown that. Let me give you one more before I stop and ask questions. Look at this little dog. I really love this picture. By the way, I don't know if any of you have ever read the book Presentation Zen, but a lot of people say to me, hey, Jason, how do you do webinars so well? What is it that you do that gets people to be engaged with you? Because you should know it's totally different than live presentations, because right now nobody's really talking to me. I can't see your faces. 55% of communication is body language and facial expressions. And I don't get any of that. I'm stripped of it. But these little pictures that aren't as important live as they are in webinars are really powerful, because I can impose some images on you that allow you to see things in a way that I want you to see them. And right now I want you to see how important it is that your audience literally falls in love with you. I remember when I first started teaching, this is way back in the early 90s, I actually had a professor that told me this, and everyone in the audience said, oh, I can't believe he just said that. And he said, no, you don't understand. I'm not telling them to get them to fall in love with you romantically. What I am telling you is, if you can get your audience to love you the instructor, to love you the presenter, the speaker, whatever it is, they will learn better from you. They will be more engaged from you. They'll ask more questions of you. They'll stop being resenters and hecklers and gripers and complainers. They'll stop all that stuff. If you notice, by the way, I said these are all prerequisites. I said the first thing is to get them to what? Crave what you have to say. Second thing, remember what that was. Get them to say, we got a good one. Once you've done those two things, I'm literally giving you a recipe here for the prerequisites to being a presenter, a teacher, trainer, professor, whoever's got an audience. First, get them to crave it. Then get them to say, we got a good one. Third thing, get them to fall in love with you. And you can't get them to fall in love with you until they think you're good. I'll say that again. You cannot get them to fall in love with you until they think you're good. You want to know what the number one mistake is that I see people do when they try to get other people to laugh? They do it right away before they think they're good. They'll come with a joke in the first 5 minutes. Ooh, don't do that. Not a good idea. Let me tell you something about this theory. People don't laugh because something's funny. They laugh because they're feeling good. And people do not feel good unless they believe what you're saying, trust what you're saying, and think you're good. Seems so easy, doesn't it, when you hear this? It seems elegantly simple. It took me 20 years to figure this stuff out. I'm telling it to you in 20 minutes. But it's amazing what it'll do for you in front of your audience. You should know, by the way, that I say audience for anybody who has people that listen to them. This is true one-on-one. This is true one-on-3. This is true one-on 5,000. Whether you're a teacher, a trainer, a presenter, a professional speaker that gets $10,000 gigs all over the world, this applies to you. Here's the 5 ways to get them to fall in love with you. Number 1, be welcoming. Oh, you should know one last thing before I keep going. These 8 secrets that I'm giving you, these keys that I'm giving you to success with your audience, and then these sub-keys I'm giving you, be welcoming is a sub-key to get them to fall in love with you. These things took me 5 years to figure out. Analyzing hundreds of presenters, trainers, and teachers, and people who have audiences over and over and figuring out why are they so good. And the first one is to be welcoming. Now this, again, it's theoretical fluff. It doesn't tell you anything yet, so let me give you a specific. You got to find out what's meaningful to them. You say, well, Jason, that's still theoretical fluff. How do I do that? Well, it turns out people like talking when they get to talk about what they want to talk about. You ever gone up to somebody and started talking to them, and you start talking and you think that to make conversation you just need to talk? It doesn't work. They want to talk about stuff they want to talk about. Here's how you do it. Right before your session, go up to a couple individuals in your audience, a couple of your students, whatever it is, and say to them, especially if you've never met them before, say, hi, I'm Jason, what's your name? And they tell you, and then you say, how do you spend most of your time? And when you do this, they'll tell you the thing that's the most meaningful to them. I'll give you an example. My wife and I just had a new baby. He's 10 months old now. His name's Trey. And when I go up to, if somebody were to go up to Jess, my wife, and say, hey, Jess, how do you spend most of your time? You know what she'd say? She'd say, well, I spend it with my son, Trey. And then immediately, if I were to say to her, or someone else were to say to her, well, tell me about that, Jess would beam. Her eyes would light up, and she would be so excited to talk about this. Why? Because Trey is one of the most important pieces in her life right now. The same thing's true with your audience. Ask them. If you want to welcome them, find out what's meaningful to them and ask them. Second way to get them to fall in love with you, meet their needs. One of the best ways to meet people's needs, by the way, this is the very definition of rapport, is to show them you met the what's in it for me. You guys remember when I'm going to show you this again. Look at my screen. I'm going to go back. Do you remember when I showed you these deliverables? And yet some of you looked at these and said, oh, yeah, right, Jason, you're really going to do that for me. Let's see if you can do that. Well, here I am on the third one. If I can prove to you that I gave you those things, let's try it. Do you remember the 4 ways we get them to say you got a good one? Chat them in right now. You're not going to be in a webinar with me and not participate. What are the 4 ways that I just taught you to get your audience to say, oh, we got a good one? Yeah, overcome nervousness. That was the first one. I just heard that from Chris. What else? Show confidence. Exactly. And there was a speak well and show that you're an expert. As soon as I tell you, my audience, that those are the 5 or the 4 ways, and I review those with you and prove to you you got them, the very things I promised you you'd get, you immediately say to me, in your mind, you'll say, wow, he met my needs. Cool. Here's the third one. Show that you care. Remember I said that facial expressions and body language are the 55% of your communication? When you're in front of an audience and they can see you, this is so, so important. You need to smile sincerely with your eyes to show that you care. Anybody heard of Daniel Pink, the author? Daniel Pink wrote a book that did a research on this, research on the facial expressions. It's called A Whole New Mind. And what he did is he went around the world and interviewed people and showed them pictures of different faces. And then when he showed them a picture of someone who was surprised, they all agreed, oh yeah, he's surprised. When they showed them a picture of somebody who's happy, they all agreed, yep, that person's happy. But when he showed them a picture of someone extending their hand to shake their hand, different cultures interpreted that differently. Why? Because facial expressions are the only universal form of communication on the planet. This has implications for you. If you're inattentive right now, you should listen. This is huge for you. Try this. Look yourself in the mirror right now, or next time you get in front of a mirror. Cover up your nose and your mouth and look at your eyes. Do the eyes look like they're smiling? Try actually physically smiling and then try that. Do your eyes look like they're smiling? If they do, you're being sincere. If you're not, if your eyes don't look like they're smiling, you're not being sincere. Here's the deal. Your audience can pick this stuff up. They can tell. Fourth way to get them to fall in love with you, make things enjoyable. Let me talk about a model that I think you're going to like. This is one of my favorite ways to make things enjoyable. Check out my screen. It's called the relationship model. There are 4 types of levels when you have a relationship with anybody. And by the way, do you need a relationship with your audience? Yeah. So here's the thing. Cliches are the first level. And most people go here when they introduce themselves to an audience or to a number of other people. And you know what? You don't really build a whole lot of relationships at the cliche level. Remember I told you the number 1 theory of laughter is people don't laugh because something is funny. They laugh because they're feeling good. And you know what? People don't feel good at cliche level. They don't even feel good at the facts level, which is, by the way, the second level of relationships. But they feel good. They start feeling good at the feelings level. It's only till the feelings level that you start to get people to laugh. When does that happen? That happens when you're in the middle of your presentation and they start to trust you. They start to crave what you have to say. They start to think that you're a good one. Then they'll start to be at the feelings level. Now, you should know, I said this at the beginning. There are hundreds of ways to do all of the things I'm telling you that I've discovered. I'm sharing with you one for each of these right now. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to tell you where you can get the rest of the hundreds. But for right now, let me tell you about one other thing that's critical to getting them to fall in love with you, and it's getting them to like you. Now, how do you get them to like you? It turns out, and this is a theory that I've developed over the last 5 years, that there are 4 kinds of presenters, 4 kinds of speakers, 4 kinds of trainers, 4 kinds of teachers. There are inspirers, performers, energizers, and fascinators. Which one are you? I can tell you that I'm an inspirer. That's what I was born as. You were born as one of these, by the way, and it can't change. You can center yourself and learn some of the other quadrants, but you will always be one of these, the majority of one of these. Do me a favor. Think about what you are right now. Write it down. If you feel comfortable, chat it into me. I'm interested to hear what you folks think you are. But while you're doing that, I want you to know that a lot of people think they're one thing, and they don't really know for sure. Some of you are not chatting it in because you're not sure. Some of you chat it in, and maybe you think you're that, but you secretly want to be that, and you're really something else. Well, I've developed a personality style assessment. It's actually a presentation personality style assessment that I have developed over many years of watching different presenters present. And that assessment is available in a program called Dazzle, in which I tell you not only what your personality style is, but also exactly. I spent 4 hours talking about how to present in your style. I'll tell you later about how to check that out, but I just want you to know that if you're trying to be somebody you're not, if you're an inspirer, Chris mentioned he's an inspirer. If you're a performer, Lauren mentioned she's a performer. If that's you, Tom mentioned that he's a facilitator, or a fascinator, sorry. If that's you, then I just want you to know that if you're trying to be that person and you're really not, or if you don't know how to maximize your potential with that style, then there's a lot of stuff you're missing out on as a presenter, as a teacher. All right, that's number 3, how to get them to fall in love with you. Now, here's the 4th one, but before we do this, I'm going to stop and ask, what questions do you have about the first 3? Here's what they are again. Get them to crave what you have to say. Get them to say, we got a good one. And get them to fall in love with you. What questions do you have about those 3 keys to success with your audience? I just got a question from Chris that said, how does appearance affect them falling in love with you? You should know that appearance, remember we said body language and facial expressions are 55% of communication. Right now, you can't see me. You can hear me, but you can't see me. When I'm in a webinar situation like this, 82% of communication is my tone. 18% are the words that I say. But when I'm in a real life situation where you can see me, Chris is right. Body language and facial expressions are 55%. Here's what you want to do, Chris, for this. You want to, first of all, dress equal to or above your audience, always. Never, ever dress underneath them. So if everybody's going to be in a button-down and some dress pants, then that's what you want to do, or even higher. The other thing is, don't worry so much about what you look like or how you were born the way you looked. It doesn't matter as much as the way your facial expressions portray your emotions. You need to be sincere and genuine. You can't fake a smile, and you cannot fake genuine, sincere feelings. So when you're in front of your audience, the question that Chris asked was, how does appearance affect them falling in love with you? They have to believe that you are interested in them. They have to believe that you care about them. Remember, we said your eyes can do that. That's pretty critical. Lauren asked, how do you get to the feelings level faster? The answer here is, you've got to give them things that they want. First of all, it's getting them to crave what you have to say, And you do this by telling them why you would want it, and you do that by getting them to feel like they're going to be more successful, free, or happy with you. I'll give you an example. If I say to you, I'm going to teach you how to hear a pin drop with your audience. Some of you say, well, that's nice, Jason. That's what you're going to teach me. But you really haven't heard why you'd want it yet. But if I say to you, I'm going to teach you how to hear a pin drop so that nobody ever checks out of your presentations again. Now all of a sudden I've gotten to a feeling, Lauren, because if I strike a chord with people who have had people check out, I all but guarantee you that the people who have had people check out of their presentations are saying to themselves, oh, it hurt so bad when they did this. I could see they were on Facebook and they didn't even care that I was paying attention or that I was talking to them. They weren't even paying attention to me. Or they left 10 minutes in. How rude is that? And they started to take that personally. Or they started to worry the night before that people would check out. Or they started to feel that they're just not very good as a presenter anymore. They're just not. All that stuff is what I call frequent fulfillment. If you can get to that right away and get your audience to believe that you're giving them something that's going to help them in their life tomorrow, it's going to make them feel more fulfilled in their life because of you. That's how you get to the feelings level the quickest. Lauren, the second way to get to the feelings level the quickest is to be yourself. And this is what I call the presentation archetypes. If you're an inspire and you really inspire, they will start to fall in love with you through the feelings level a lot faster than if you're an inspire trying to be an energizer, or if you're a fascinator trying to be a performer. I'll give you a story. I was watching a new presenter the other day speaking in front of some really powerful people. And this guy gets up. He's about 22 years old, pretty young, just got out of college. And it's a big business proposal he's going to set up here. He gets in front of his audience, and he starts to try to energize him like the Energizer Bunny. And this guy's a soft-spoken, sweet guy. It's just not him. And it came across completely fake. And as soon as he did that, the feelings level was pretty much closed off for him for the rest of the time. So thanks, Chris and Lauren, for those questions. Let's move on to how to be able to hear a pin drop. I love this metaphor. Look at that pin. When you hear that in your audience, you should know, the reason I use this metaphor is because when I get in front of people and I present to them, and I've presented in front of one person, and I've presented in front of over 10,000 people. And whenever I do this, when I get in the middle of the presentation, and by the way, I'm here right now. We're actually right in the middle of this presentation. We're a half hour in. And I can tell you that right now I can hear a pin drop because it's a webinar and you guys can't say anything. But if we were in person right now, I'll bet you I'd hear a pin drop. And the reason I can tell you that I would bet I'd hear that is because I'm giving you things. I've researched what it is you want. I've researched what it is that you're going to get from me. And here it is. It's the thing you want to write down. I'm maintaining your attention by solving a mystery and beginning another. I don't know if you've ever read the book Made to Stick by the Heath brothers. This is one of the fundamental concepts of this book. You present mysteries that people cannot help but want to know. And you don't give them the last mystery until the last minute of the presentation. And then every new topic is a new mystery that they can't wait to hear next. And every time you do this, the pin will drop and you can hear it. So I've just solved a mystery with you. How do you get them to fall in love with you, Jason? I've just told you some things that will help you with that. And now we're moving on to, well, how do you get to hear a pin drop? I want to know. How did I know that you wanted to know these things? Because I researched these. I've interviewed hundreds and thousands of people and asked them, what are the top 8 things that you want to be able to do? And these are the 8. Here's the next one. Get attention back if it's been lost. This is another way to hear get the pin to drop and hear it, is to get their attention back if it's been lost. Right now, I've got a whole slew of people, dozens of people right now listening to me. And every one of them, I want to make sure that they're listening to me. And if they're not, if you're off doing something else, checking an email or I want to make sure I get you back. But most presenters and instructors don't know how to do this. Here's how you do it. You got to break a pattern. This is another one of the things that I've read recently in a book called Brain Rules. You got to break a pattern. Here's how you do it. You tell them, and by the way, did you notice I said break a pattern? In most of these books and most of these instructors, most of these presenters that tell you this stuff, they stop it there. They stop it right there and they say, oh, you got to break a pattern. I'm, okay, how do you do that? Well, it's how you get their attention back if it's lost. You break a pattern. But that didn't tell me. That's theoretical fluff. I call this theoretical fluff. This is a phrase I coined because what I think it is, it's fluffy little theory that you can't use. This is what I learned in college, fluffy little theory I couldn't use, and I got out in the real world and I couldn't teach. It's theoretical fluff. What Rule of the Room gives you is practical stuff that you can use tomorrow because that's what adults want. Here's the practical. You tell them to imagine this in their world. That's what you do. I'll give you an example. This thing I'm teaching you right now, telling them to imagine this in their world, what would that look like for you? How could you apply this to your presentations and trainings and teachings? And there it is. There's the practical. You can now take this and use this. Here's a third way you can be able to hear a pin drop. You got to get them to interact with you. Yeah, there's a little method that I've created that's one of the most powerful methods that I've seen in classrooms and with audiences, really powerful people. It's called the agree and see if I'm right method. For this one, I want you to write something next to this. Write the word dazzle. I'll show you how to do that in Dazzle. It's one of the coolest things that you've ever seen, but it's exclusive to Dazzle, and I want to show it to you there. Here comes the next one. Reach any learner anytime. I just shot a new program 2 days ago. My brother Jim and I were there, and Jim was helping me shoot this program, and it's called Learning Styles, How to Reach Any Learner. And when I got done with this program, I went out to the hallway, and I saw a man out there who actually was almost starting to cry. And I asked him why, and he told me that, he said, Jason, you don't even know how many people need this stuff. By the way, you should know this program was geared specifically to educators. So we're talking teachers and trainers right now. We're not talking professional speakers or presenters. And you should know that the two sets of programs that I have some that are geared towards specifically presenters and speakers, and others that are geared specifically towards teachers and trainers. But this program is geared towards teachers and trainers. And he said to me, you don't know how many people need this stuff. He said, I have a little girl right now who's in 5th grade, and she's got a teacher that's trying to teach her in a learning style that's not hers. And by the way, you guys should know auditory, visual, kinesthetic, those aren't learning styles. If somebody told you that, they're wrong. Those are learning modalities. The learning styles are the talk learner, the create learner, the research learner, and the step learner. In any event, I was doing this, and he says to me, not only that, but, and then he brings this other woman over who was there, and she says to me, Jason, I'm at the university, and exactly what you're saying is true. They teach you all this theoretical fluff about learners, but they don't tell you how to reach them. Well, let's talk about how to reach them right now. First thing you need to do is you need to tailor your approach to your audience. And one of the ways to do this is to identify their pain points. What are they in pain for? Here's a way to do this. Just email them and ask them, what are the top 3 things that give you trouble with XYZ? They'll tell you their pain points. Another thing you need to do to reach any learner is you need to make things easy to follow along. How do you do this? Here's my favorite way. Give them directionals. Start with an action verb and tell them to do something. Read something, look somewhere, write something. Here's an example. Take a look at my screen right now. How many of you just looked at my screen? That helped you follow along because I use a directional. Here's the next one. You got to make things easy to understand. If you want a video on this, go to the website, ruletheroom.com. Go to the top of the website. There's a taskbar, very cool taskbar with tons of free articles on it. And right in the middle, it says Teach Effectively. And there's a video, if you click on that button, that takes you to a leading questions video. And that's what I'm talking about right now. It's called synthesis. The human brain has 2 sides, a left and a right. And the left side's responsible for the past. The right side's responsible for creating things. Which side of the brain do you want to access? If you're creating things, it's the right side, and that's the leading questions side. Leading questions. Now, leading question has 4 parts. I want you to write these down. There's a right answer. They've never been taught it yet. They can figure it out, and it requires thinking. If you ask leading questions with your audience, they'll be understanding way more than they did before you did this. Fourth way to get them to reach any, learn anytime. Manage your pace. And here's how you manage. Here's one way to manage your pace. Plan for questions. Here's the rule. 1/6 of however long you talk is how long you should give for questions. I'm talking for an hour. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for questions at the end. 2 hours, 10 minutes. Last way, see if they got it. Last way to reach any learner is determine whether they got it. And the best way to do this is with a thing called benchmarks. If you want to know about benchmarks, it's one of the coolest ways to find out if your audience actually got it. You need to go to a program called Maverick. It's on the Rule the Room website under the program catalog. Maverick is the most elite training program, train the trainer program available on the planet. It's going to show you dozens, and dozens, for some of you hundreds of things that you've never heard before how to train or teach anybody. And the reason I call it Maverick is because it's for the elite instructors, the ones who know everything and they still want to get better. There, I'll tell you about benchmarks. If you're a presenter or you're a speaker and you say, Jason, I don't teach or train on students. I present. I got business. I got to get things done. And I got to be able to get them to buy stuff from me, whatever it is. Then you need to see Dazzle. I've talked about Dazzle now twice. Dazzle is the most powerful program for the master presenters, the best of the best. We're talking about the ones that can get a pin to drop and hear it with 10,000 people in the room, or they're just glued on this person. Check those out. Here's the answer questions like a pro. Look at this guy, this little gold guy here, this little gold woman, whoever it is, I can't really tell, but here's the deal. If you look at this person next to Q&A, that person is a pro. Because why? Why do people who do Q&A and make it look so easy, why are the best ones? What do they have? What do they do? First of all, I'm going to tell you, when you elicit questions, don't ask, do you have any questions? Ask, what questions do you have? Don't ask what questions do you have about nothing. Ask, what questions do you have about X, Y, Z? Get them to ask what you want them to know, what you want them to ask. If I said to you, what questions do you have about getting them to fall in love with you? I'm going to get the right questions. That's what I did before. Chris and Lauren asked me, how does appearance affect them falling in love with you? And Lauren said, how do you get to the feelings level faster? They asked me questions that were right on topic because I asked them to ask me those things. Here's the next one. When you respond to questions, oh, this is so important. Write this down, put a big star next to it. You want to paraphrase what they ask you. Why would you want to do this? I'm not talking about repeating. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about paraphrasing. There's actually 10 reasons why you'd want to paraphrase. I want you to see if you can think of them right now. I'll tell you the top 3 that I have. It doesn't just help other people hear. That's great, but here's what you really want to do. It keeps your poker face intact. It helps you get the right question answered so they know you understand it, and it buys you time to think so that you can show you care about them. Next time you answer a question, always, always, always paraphrase it first. And when you're all done answering the questions, show them that you met the need again. Show them you're an expert. If you think you met the need, actually say to them, hey, does that sound okay if you didn't answer it? Or does that answer your question if you did answer it? Here's the last one that I want to share with you before I tell you some of the things that you can use for takeaways. This sign that you're looking at right now is an actual sign that a student put up in a trainer class before the trainer even started. Those of you who don't think you have to handle tough audiences, that's because you've never been in a class or with an audience that does this kind of stuff. But you will, trust me. It's going to happen. And when it happens, this guy actually put this note right on the back of his computer when he sat down. And then when the trainer came in, the trainer sees this, and his heart just dropped to the floor. He spent like 3 days getting ready for this presentation, getting ready for this class, and this is what he comes to. Now, there's 8 kinds of tough audiences. There's experts, know-it-alls, gripers and complainers, hecklers, resenters, talk hogs, distracted inefficients, and late arrivers. This one right here, this is a resenter. And I'm going to tell you 3 things that will work for all of these people right now. You ready for this? First one, you need to look under the water. Take a break sometime and talk to the person about what's going on. Ask them what their current workflow is, or how they're feeling or what caused them to write this. I guarantee you that it's probably not you. In this case, it wasn't you. In this case, it wasn't him, I should say. This sign came up and the person was resentful of something, but it had nothing to do with this trainer. The trainer was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Look under the water, find out what's going on. Number 2, sidestep power struggles. Again, theoretical fluff. How do you do it? You use the words could be. Somebody comes up to you and says, you're the worst trainer ever. You're the worst presenter ever. What you do is you say, could be. And notice I'm not arguing. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not agreeing. I'm just stating the fact that that could be. And the person doesn't even know how to respond. And what they will definitely do is stop being so emotional with you for so long. Number 3, establish ground rules. I got something important to tell you about this. There's a difference between boundaries and expectations. Boundaries are what I can do. Expectations are what I want you to do. I can't control expectations, but I can control boundaries. I was watching a teacher one time, high school teacher, had a kid that he didn't want him to chew gum. So he said to him, stop chewing gum. He even tried to take the gum out of the kid's mouth, which was completely inappropriate, by the way. And the kid just put more gum in later. You can't control that. But later on, the teacher figured out boundaries and said, I teach students that don't chew gum. And all of a sudden the students now, or I teach students that are quiet. All of a sudden the students became quiet because the teacher wouldn't teach them if they didn't. And they wanted to learn. Interesting. How could you apply this to you? Did you notice I just broke a pattern with you? Asked you how you could apply it to you, and you're back in. How could you apply this, looking under the water, sidestepping power struggles, and establishing ground rules to you? 8 things, 8 keys. We just went over all 8. Well, here's the deal. I only had 60 minutes with you. And I'm not done yet. I've got 15 more minutes. But I want to tell you, I'm going to give you some more stuff here in a second. I want to tell you that I've spent so many years watching so many people and writing so much material about this stuff that I have only scratched the surface. Seriously. I've given you today at least a dozen things that most of you have probably never heard of that you can use tomorrow. Most of them have entirely practical things associated with the theory. There are hundreds and thousands more where those things came from. And, oh, they get so much deeper into how you can be so much more effective, so much more successful with your audience. Here's what I want to do. I want you to ask yourself right now, which camp do you fall under? You ready for this? Camp number 1. Are you a teacher trainer? What I want you to do right now is chat this in. I want you to chat in right now if you are, in fact, in some way, shape, or form, a person who gets up in front of a bunch of students and teaches them stuff. Are you a teacher, a trainer, a professor? If that's you, chat it in right now. Those of you who aren't, I want you to chat in whether you're a presenter or a speaker. Are you a person who doesn't have students, but you've got audience of either business professionals or somebody else? Which one are you? I want to know right now, for all of the people on the line, are you a teacher, trainer, or are you a speaker, presenter? Which one? I'm getting a lot of speaker presenters, and I'm also getting some teacher trainers here. And by the way, if you're both, tell me that too. If you're both, I want to know. I got some boths here. Interesting. Now, here's the thing. You should know that I actually accommodate and cater to both of these sets of folks, but they're very, some of the skills, I don't know if you've been to the website yet, ruletheroom.com, but a lot of the skills that work for presenters and speakers also work for teachers and trainers and vice versa. But there's some stuff, oh my goodness, there's some stuff that only works for one or the other, and that's because you have to be in that situation to be able to use it. Let me give you some specifics here. If you're a presenter speaker, there's 4 programs that you definitely need to check out. Some of you have already checked out some of these. I can tell by your names that you've already checked out Presto, which is the instant wow factor. I want to tell you a little bit about what these are and why they were going to be so critical for you. I know you got a lot out of today, but there's so much more here that you can get, and I just can't give it to you in 60 minutes. Presto is where you get to see me, watch my face, watch my body, present a 1-hour presentation on how to give a presentation. I'm actually going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. You'll also get a 36-page ebook included with the program for free. And you're going to get a PowerPoint presentation of exactly how to create your PowerPoint presentation. Now, that's a 1-hour program. Dazzle, I had a lot of people say, Jason, the Presto is cool, but I really need more. I want to know everything you know about presenting. So I created Dazzle. It's a 4-hour program, and it's all the secrets of all of the master presenters. If you've ever seen the best presenter that you've ever seen, and you guys know who these are, they do the stuff in Dazzle. And there's stuff in Dazzle they don't even know. It's unbelievable. 4 hours of 20 years of experience all in one program. You get a presentation personality style assessment with this. You get a big workbook, a PowerPoint set for this, and you get to watch 4 hours of a program in the comfort of your own home, and you can watch this thing. You can watch it over and over again. You can practice it. I'll even give you a specific technique booklet on how to do it. Captivate is an 1.5-hour module that teaches you how to not only hook an audience with the things I taught you today, but it teaches you dozens of other ways to do it, and it also teaches you how to write your hooks, how to write your deliverables and takeaways. This is something that nobody taught me. I figured this out on my own. But no, you got to figure out, if you want to get people to crave what you have to say, you actually have to create deliverables, I call them. Some people call them tasks. I really like the word takeaways, but you have to create hooks. Remember what Brain Rules says. You remember what the Heath brothers discovered and made to stick. You've got to actually hook people every 10 minutes or they'll stop listening to you. How do you do that? How do you create the main hook that even gets them to come to your presentation? That's what this talks about. And also, you should know I'm putting together right now, I haven't actually offered this yet. It's going to be coming out this year, is a presentation boot camp called Bravo. If you want to know about this stuff, go to ruletheroom.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, it's way up in the upper right-hand corner because I want it to be a little bit nebulous for people so that they get a lot of those articles and see a lot of that stuff first, because I really want them to read some stuff about how cool some of these things are. Go to the program catalog and click on the program catalog, and then go to presentation programs, and you'll see all 3 of these things there. And at the very bottom of the page, it talks about the boot camp. We're going to let everybody know the dates for that come July. Now, those of you who are trainers and teachers, and by the way, if you're a presenter or a speaker, you're going to want this too, because these things are going to be able to help you anytime you have a room full of students where you need to teach them stuff. Foundation is the essentials of adult education. It's an 8-hour program with a 100-page workbook, over 100 pages. A learning style assessment, it comes with it. You find out how you learn and how your students learn. And it has literally, I spend 8 hours showing you everything I know about adult education and how to get adults to learn effectively. Very, very cool. This is the golden standard for adult education. If you've taken other adult education programs before, I can guarantee you that there's going to be at least a dozen things that you haven't heard before that are in Foundation. And how can I guarantee that? Because I wrote them all from scratch. Nobody told them to me. I figured them out through experience. And I talked about Maverick already. Maverick is also an 8-hour program, but this really steps it up to the level of the elite instructors. If you're one of the best, this is really funny. Actually, I have a lot of people come up to me that want to know more about Rule the Room, and they buy Maverick because they're the best. And I say, you don't need Maverick, you're amazing. And the person says to me, that's why I need Maverick, because I want to stay that way. And it turns out that these people all have one thing in common, the ones that do Maverick and Dazzle. They're all the best. And that's how they got there, because they're constantly looking for other stuff that's going to make them better. Cram, you should know, if you've got any teachers or trainers that are just starting out, or if you want just a real quick summary of how to do both Maverick and Foundation, Cram's a 3.5-hour program that's literally the quick notes of how to train, how to teach anything. It's like the cliff notes of training and teaching. And Light Bulbs is an unprecedented program that I have never seen anywhere. I created a recipe for how to make anything easy to understand. Those of you who have to teach really tough topics, I'm talking about the stuff that people don't get and they just are totally confused, and you're standing up there going, does that make sense? Does that make sense? And nobody gets it. Light Bulbs shows you exactly how to write curriculum that's going to let them get it, and how to say it in front of your class to make sure that they do. Oh, and I have a real special treat that I want to share with you guys today. Nobody knows about this yet. I'm actually unveiling this for the first time tonight. There's a new book coming out. I'm writing my first book. It's going to be a hardcover book. and it's called Rule the Room, How to Get Your Audience to Do What You Want. And it was inspired by a scuba diver. My brother Jim and I, Jim's the one who owns Rule the Room. Jim's an amazing presenter in his own right, and he's my favorite because he actually is the model for Rule the Room. He's the guy that says, hey, look, Jason, you've been doing this for 20 years, but I've never done this. It just doesn't work for somebody just right out does it right out of the gate, and Jim totally is going to prove people that it does because he can do it. And he's going to model for people how to do it. But Jim and I went scuba diving in Mexico, and we were in Los Cabos, and there was this guy that was scuba diving with us, and we get out of the boat, and he says to me, so what do you do, Jason? And I said, well, I work with presenters and teachers and trainers and speakers. I help them be successful with their audience. He goes, really? He goes, what kind of stuff do you talk about? I said, well, all sorts of stuff. I help people overcome their anxiety, and I went on, and he stopped me right at anxiety, and he says, Jason, I'm a very successful businessman, and I'm fine talking in front of thousands of people. I do it all the time. I'm fine talking in front of 100 people. I do that all the time. But I get anxious when I have to talk in front of 10 people, and I want to try to get them to do what I want them to do. I said, what do you mean get them to do what you want them to do? And he said, well, I don't mean manipulate them. That's what a lot of people think when they see this. That's not what I mean. I mean, I want them when they're done to take the things I taught them, to take the things I presented to them and use it to be successful. Isn't that what you want? I mean, I know if you got to make a sale, you want to make the sale. I get that. And I know that if you want to convince somebody to buy your products, you want to do that. But that's not the most important thing, is it really? It's not for me. The most important thing is that people listen to what you say and they're able to use in their life tomorrow to be successful. That's what you want them to do, isn't it? That's what you get them to do what you want. Well, I'm writing a 200-plus page book. It's going to be published this fall. I encourage you to check your Amazon.coms and ruletheroom.coms for more information on this. By the way, there's 4 webinars coming up. Some of you like what you're hearing right now. You can hear more about this. Archetype. You can check out these webinars, by the way, also in the program catalog or the events tab, either one. I want to talk to all of you more. So archetype is how to be yourself with your audience. This will teach you your personality archetype, whether you're an inspirer, an energizer, a performer, fascinator, and it'll also show you exactly how to be yourself and maximize that style. What do you do to have fun as an inspirer? How is that different from a performer? And how do you pull from all 4? Boomerang. How do you answer questions like a pro? How do you punt questions? How do you answer them effectively? All that stuff. Eloquence is how do you actually speak well? How do you use inflections and tone and volume and pace to get people to be captured at your every word? Oh, and this last one, it says light bulbs. It's actually not light bulbs. The last one is actually called serenity. That's a misprint. Serenity is how do you feel good even if you've got people who are challenging. Remember the hecklers, the resenters, the quiet types, the know-it-alls, the experts, all those folks? I'm going to teach you exactly how to handle them. So check those out on the site. Now, I want to give you, I promised you I'd do this 1/6 of the time. I want to give you questions. We did 5 minutes of questions earlier. Let's do another question now. What questions do you have about how to get your audience to thank you? Go ahead and either raise your hand or chat those in now. While we're waiting, you should know. You should give your audience 7 seconds to do this. It's awkward for you, I know that, but you need to wait anyway, because 7 seconds is how long it takes them to think about the question, come up with an answer, or come up with a question that they want to actually ask you, and then actually how to get up the courage to ask this in front of everybody else. Remember I said the number 1 need of your audience is to feel safe. The number 1 fear of your audience is feeling foolish. And when they ask questions, they don't want to feel foolish. Oh, here's a question I just got from Tom. Tom asks, how long does it take to really get good at this stuff? Well, Tom, here's the answer. If we're talking about Dazzle, which is the ultimate program for presenters, or if we're talking about Maverick, Tom, the ultimate program for trainers and teachers, it takes 3 months. You need to work on this for 3 months. I'm going to suggest at least once a week And I'm going to tell you in those programs exactly what to do each week to get to the point where you're just knocking the socks off your audience or your students. Like I'm talking about for Maverick being the elite trainer or teacher that blows classrooms away and everybody wants to take. Or for Dazzle, the one that gives a presentation or does a speech or is a speaker, a big-time speaker that everybody wants to book. It takes 3 months to do that. If you watch Presto, which is the 1-hour program for presenters, or if you watch Learning Styles, the one that I just shot 2 days ago, which is the 1.5 to 2 hour program for teachers and trainers, you can figure that stuff out and you can get good at that in about 1 week to 3 weeks, depending upon how much you do each day. I'm going to teach you in those programs exactly how to do it. So you're not just going to wonder theoretically, well, how do I do this, Jason? I'm going to show you exactly where to stand, where to look, how to use your hands, how to speak well, what to do with your inflections and your pace, what to do with your volume, how to manage the pace, how to handle questions, how to handle challenges, how to build credibility and get them to thank you, how to get them to fall in love with you. All that stuff's going to go down in every one of those programs. The question is, for those of you who are on this webinar right now, do you want to see this done and do you want to take yourself to that next level? If you do, I encourage you to come back to the webinars we're going to do in the future. I encourage you to check out this program catalog. I got one more question. I got a couple more, but I only have time for one more. This is from Nancy. Nancy's asking, what's the first thing I should start with? Do I just practice my first topic? She asks. Nancy, the answer to this is that the very first thing you need to do is get them to crave what you have to say. You must do this. Remember I said, recipe is a recipe because it's literally the order in which you need to do all this stuff. You cannot get them to fall in love with you unless they crave what you have to say. They won't like you if they don't crave what you're saying. You cannot get them to say you're a good one unless they crave what you have to say. Can't answer questions. They won't even ask questions unless they crave what you have to say. If you want to know how to get them to crave what you have to say, watch Presto or Dazzle for presenters, or Captivate will teach you how to create it, or watch Maverick or Foundation or Cram for teachers and trainers. I'll tell you exactly how to do it, and then how to finish it up with all other 7 keys. Thanks, Nancy. The rest of you, we're at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I want to thank you for joining us for Recipe, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. If you want to email me at jason@ruletheroom.com, you can do that. If you want to email Jim at jim@ruletheroom.com, we'd love to hear from you. You can see a little bit more about us on the About Us page on the website, and we're hoping that you join us. We're pretty confident that you will in our next webinar. I believe our next one is called Archetype, which is how to be yourself in front of your audience. So join us for that. Otherwise, enjoy the articles, the blogs that we're writing for you on ruletheroom.com, and check out that program catalog. Some very cool stuff in there. Thanks for coming.